Hi, nice to see you again. Hat tip to Lady in the Lake from California. She sent me a link for the Federal Register where they put all of the important decisions and new legislation and whatnot into the Federal Register for public consumption. And I wasn't aware that that it even existed. But one of the first things I found when she sent it is a document related to legislation that was drafted just before Christmas 2023. Anything that's past the 20th of December up to Christmas is usually effery, like what they did with the creation of the Federal Reserve. Well, they did a similar thing this year, and I haven't really heard anybody talking about it. I'm sure some may have in the alternative media, but nothing in the mainstream. And what it is, it relates to legislation that allows the Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, and Secretary of Energy to work as the three stooges to run the United States under certain circumstances, all of which occurred. And I'll take you to the document right now. It has a harmless-looking title, Delegation of Functions and Authorities under Section 1333, 1342, 1352, and 1353 of the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2024. And I'll leave a copy of that entire act. It's 900 and some pages, and it covers just about everything you would expect the president to be responsible for, and passes it off to Secretary of Defense, Budget, and Secretary of Defense, Energy, and Secretary of State. So, Section 1, I hereby delegate to the Secretary of Defense, in consultation with the Secretary of Energy, the functions and authorities vested in the President by Section 1352 of the National Defense Authorizations Act for fiscal year 2024. Yeah, so delegate to the Secretary of Defense in consultation with the Secretaries of State and Energy in various different iterations of that. I hereby delegate the function and authorities vested in the President by the following provisions of the Act as follows. Secretary of State, Defense, and Energy, but I wanted you to look at the bottom here. Secretary of Defense for funds allocated to the Department of Defense account, and to the Secretary of Energy for funds allocated to the Department of Energy account in coordination with the Director of the Office of Management and Budget. So we have a fourth stooge here. And here she is. I've got a clip of her sparring with Mitt Romney, if you could call it sparring. Her getting run over by Mitt Romney at the end, so you can get a whiff of the real situation here, which is this poor woman is just a dupe for the globalist private sector with their three stooges that they have on puppet strings, including the wildly popular Anthony Blinken. What do you think they're going to do now that they have control over the budget? They have control over the country of all expenditures and even civil matters. This spills over. It's 970-something pages of things that they have authority to do that have been passed on to them by past president, no longer president, Joe Biden, as of the 12th of July, according to this document. I mean, it may not literally be the case, but that is the de facto case. And the country is being run by three people who basically work for the secret societies and the money magic people. They now have official control over the United States in every area of importance, domestic and abroad. So I'll let you read it and weep if you're an American, but please have a look at it. And for people that are more familiar, maybe at a professional level, with these kinds of things, it would be nice to see some other content creators talking about this kind of stuff. I'm a knucklehead, and I'm an avid reader, but I'm covering so many other topics right now that are closer to, my areas of strength, that are kind of in my wheelhouse, and this one is not. But no matter which side I look at this thing from, no matter what perspective I take, it looks to me like the country has been taken over. So, I'll dig into this a little bit more, wait and see if somebody does an adequate job of informing the public, but I don't have a big enough audience. You know, I'm trying to yell it from the rooftops, but this is a audacious, you know, a typically audacious, in-your-face gaslighting exercise by people that have no right fucking with, you know, the public trust. But they're getting desperate now. But even the assassination, all the shiny pennies and squirrels, everything that's coming up in discussion around the, you know, the big stage of the forthcoming election. Yeah, you may not even get there according to these documents. Please dig in and have a look at them. But more importantly, smile so you don't cry, and have a nice day. I'll see you in the next one. Please take care.
He's talking about putting in place a tax on the increase in value of their assets, so-called unrealized capital gains. I don't know of any country in the world that does that. Do you?
If I can talk about this in a way, if those unrealized...
Are there any countries in the world that tax unrealized capital gains?
Senator, if those unrealized gains are good enough to take to a bank to get hundreds of millions
I'm sorry,
of dollars,
I asked a different question, and I get to ask the questions that I want, and I hope to get a response from you. I don't believe there's any country in the world that taxes assets or unrealized capital gains. I believe France tried it for a while and found it was a disaster and gave it up.
We have a promo code available.